where we've looked at individual psychosocial hazards, and now we're looking at a team, and then we can look at a bit more organizational, and then the integration of all of that. But we've tried to keep it thought bite, quick, small, snappy, so you can watch the recording and make the most of it.
Mainly because I think in safety, psychosocial safety, we're kind of avoiding some topics, and I think we want to talk about them. That's where I'm at today. So today we're going to talk about teams and how psychosocial hazards impact teams. We've got context and triggers because, you know, literature review yesterday on what is really happening in the psychosocial space, who's actually winning, who's losing. I had a look at Germany, I had a look at Denmark because that's my favorite country at the moment. And then I had a look at Canada and Australia. And well, about 60% of organizations lack training on how to do this well, and that is across the world. Um, and I did pull this out from the Workplace Institute, which is an American-based organization. But as you can see, management level, there is fairly high, senior leadership, not so much, and then line versus report seems to play out a little bit more and not so much at the entry level. So basically what you're talking here is that it plays out primarily in the management level, which is what does it do? It pulls down everyone's morale. If your manager is having poor morale, there's a pretty good chance that the entire team is struggling. Um, Leads to bullying and personal attacks or conflict. Okay, triggers for conflicts and heavy workload, poor communication, stress, unclear roles, personality clashes, and lack of trust. I think apart from lack of trust and abuse of power, which are outliers, pretty dominant, the others are experienced by almost everybody in management, which is why it becomes really poignant in situations that are stressful with high workload, unclear roles. Now, you're looking at a manager who themselves have a fairly high workload. Their PD was never really clear. Not really true for Australia, but I think it's somewhat true for Australia. Again, I've not taken this from Australian studies. These are American studies. Um, but about 55% of the time people spend in communication only. All right. So what are the leading and lagging indicators? Now, we're going to talk about indicators, we're going to talk about controls, and then we're going to talk about frameworks. And basically, it's a EAP. If people start using EAP a lot, then not more than normal, there's probably been a psychological incident somewhere. There's reactive training and surveys, corrective actions after harm. So you've had so balanced workload planning and rosters, digital workload tracking and threshold, anonymous reporting and metrics tied to leadership. Now, leading indicators monitor what matters, psychological safety, speak up scores, number of ideas and concerns raised. So these all can be uh, quantified. So now we come to the controls. So controls for psychosocial risks in teams. They basically come in 6 areas out of the 17 risks that we normally speak about in psychosocial risk, which is balanced work design, team capability, participation, communication, support, and resources, and role clarity. As you can see, all of them kind of sit in the work design space. So if you design the work well, there's a pretty good chance that you're tackling all the psychosocial risks. This is my favorite slide of the day. So what I did yesterday was I basically went and looked at all the organizations in the world that have been doing psychosocial safety, especially the ones who have been doing in middle management and team level. And what I found that the organizations were doing were not, they were not going after one methodology. Now they are not um, these methods are not individualistic from a point of view that they will not interfere with each other. They actually cohesively work with each other. That you don't really have to have one framework. You need bespoke frameworks for your organization, but you can pull out elements from other frameworks to which work for you. So first you measure, you diagnose, you prioritize, you redesign, you embed and review. What's special about this from the normal risk plan, act, do check kind of a model, is that you are diagnosing here, you are prioritizing, and you're designing. So they had really high sick leave rates and about 1.5 million year. So what they did was they developed a digital psychosocial risk model for themselves and focus on structural indicators, diffusion of responsibility, lack of feedback, and conflict of goals. And then the results were that their psychosocial ratings went 10% up. There was 11% reduction in the sick leave, and they had 160K saving and continued wage costs. Doesn't look a lot when you compare it to 1.5 million costs, but still, that was money that the company didn't have.
Um, if you are interested to explore more that conflict management piece, which I think you spoke about,
Yeah,
was one of the key parts of this
yeah,
team dynamic, the next webinar is going to have a deeper focus on that. We've got
yep.
an expert in that space who'll be sharing her thoughts. It's on Thursday, not on Friday. We hope to see you all there. Otherwise, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.
See you later.